Hello and welcome to the StartupBREW Fargo podcast. StartupBREW is a weekly event hosted by Emerging Prairie in downtown Fargo, where we believe that entrepreneurship is energized over brews. Each week, we bring entrepreneurs, founders, and innovators together because we believe they succeed when they have access to each other and the community that supports them. This week, we welcomed Shelby Terstriep with 701 Eateries and Mary Orlando with Rosewild. We're going to kick today off with Shelby, co-owner of 701 Eateries. Shelby is an oncologist by day and restaurant owner by night. She recently opened the brand new 701 Eateries in Fargo, and she grew up with an entrepreneurial family, which had a major influence in the direction they took with 701. Let's listen in.
So like she said, we grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My dad's a dentist, and he built up his practice. And then my mom, who is here with us today too, is a dynamo and a theater director who renovated several old buildings in our hometown of New Rockford, North Dakota, population 1,700 people. And what she did was incredible. She built a theater community where they have theater all throughout the year, and they pay their actors. And which is really unheard of anywhere, but also, in a small town of New Rockford, North Dakota, very unheard of. And so, our upbringing was wild. In the summers, that was always the time where we had they had the most shows. And so they would have actors from all over the state living with us for the summer. So you can imagine the chaos, the energy, and the creativity that we had in our household. So it was only natural that I had to bring that same chaos to my family and open up restaurants with my brother Alex, my husband, my sister-in-law Britt, and our family friends Eric and Sarah Myrie. Growing up in New Rockford, we had so many traditions, and I'm sure not unlike you, those are the things that just kind of shape who you are, and that's really what 701 Eateries is all about. So much of our traditions revolved around food. For one, we didn't have anything else to do in New Rockford. But food was connection. It was connecting with people. It was how we showed love for each other. It was, people would become known for the best things that they created. And those were the things that we hoped that they would bring at the potluck dinners or the holidays or for gifts. So things like Mary Petrick's Fleischkekle and Red Eye, and Serena Guler's bars were the best, and my grandma's Swedish meatballs and lefse. And then there was Mary Waltz at Christmas time. She would always bring the best sweetbread that was shaped in a wreath and had frosting on it and maraschino cherries, and we lived for that day that she brought that over. The thing is, those recipes were rarely written down. And, if they were written down, they were typically with measurements with things like glugs and pinches and, pours and dollops. And so we've always wanted to create a restaurant concept that really celebrated these people and the traditions and these recipes. And going back to the basics of cooking, really thinking about, whole fats and using the whole animal and canning and aging and really, bringing it back to the basics, just like our grandmas used. And really trying to perfect these recipes and actually write it down in a way that we can continue to replicate. We wanted to do the favorite things really well. So we were approached by Jade Nielsen about renovating Rosie's laundry building, and we have a love-hate relationship just like Mom does with renovating old buildings. And so we were like, of course we're going to do this. And then once we found out the address was 701, we're like, this is the perfect location for this concept. When you're from North Dakota, if you hear 701, you instantly have that nostalgia, and we're just like, this is perfect. So we started this process about 5 years ago, and slowly we're to the point of opening now the main floor today. We worked with Craftwell Architecture and Shea Design out of Minneapolis for interiors, and Gas Construction out of Wahpeton for the construction management, and we really feel like they really brought our vision to life. And what we wanted was two concepts under the same rooftop, So a really casual concept, which is the upstairs, called Camp Lone Tree, which is named after our dad's hunting camp that he would go to near Harvey. And we would hear stories about these hunting trips. And so we have a lot of like funny, quirky things that came from those, from that storytelling. So we knew that that would be a good place for a very cabin-y feel, you know, almost a Midwest potluck kind of menu. And then we really wanted to take a slant from our Norwegian heritage and really celebrating the four seasons and embracing the four seasons like our Scandinavian ancestors do. And so our intent, and hopefully this works, is that we want to make it a four-season rooftop patio. So igloos in the winter and curling up there. And then, you know, as if you guys have been up there so far, it's games and music and liveliness in the summer. The main floor is called Prairie Kitchen, and that's actually opening today. And that is really, you know, a Nordic design, but really we want you to feel like you're in our kitchen because that's where all the good parties happen. And when you look at the chairs, you know, they're like grandma's chairs in your kitchen, you know, in her kitchen. So we hope that you feel that warmth from that place. And that will be more like Swedish meatballs, you know, Nordic salmon, spätzle and schnitzel, hot dish of the moment, aged steaks, and then the most incredible bison tenderloin you've ever had. And what's really fun is that it's from New Rockford, North Dakota. We also can't wait for you to meet our awesome staff, which so many of them are here today, so thank you for coming. Our mission has been to create a company where people can have a career in the culinary arts, just like our mom has created with the theater. And our management team is really assembling an amazing team that are full of chaos and creativity and a lot of fun. So I feel really nostalgic just working with them all. So why is it so important to pass down these traditions and recipes? I mean, I read a study about raising successful kids because I have 3 kids and, you know, you're always trying to do better. And what it said was, you know, really kids who know their family history, the more of their family history they know, the more confident they are and the more aware of their self-identity they are and the more successful they are. And so really when I think about this concept, it's not just about a good meal, it's really about, you know, you being able to come and experience this and hopefully find some nostalgic aspects of it from your growing up, and then share a good meal and share some good family stories. Thank you.
Next up, we heard from Mary Orlando with Rosewild. Mary has been in the hotel industry for many years, and she hails all the way from Chicago and is playing a major role in building the culture of the new Jasper Hotel and Rosewild. Let's listen in.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me okay? That was great, Shelby. Thank you. I can't wait to come and enjoy 701. I look forward to it. As Emma said, I'm here from Chicago. I'm very happy that I received a nice gift from North Dakota. I now have allergies, so my voice doesn't always sound like this, but it sounds like this now, and it has for about the last month. But just to share a little bit about my background, so I brought a bunch of cards for recruitment today. I won't give them to any 701, but to anybody else that's looking for a full or part-time job. So again, my name's Mary Orlando. I'm originally from Chicago. I took the position of general manager of the Jasper Hotel on August 2nd of 2020, and I moved to Fargo on November 6th of 2020, and here I am today. I'm a downtowner. I have a lovely apartment just a block and a half from the hotel in the Diller building, which is great. So easy to commute to work versus when I used to commute, you know, anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours in downtown Chicago. But why Fargo and why the Jasper Hotel for me? So I started with Aperium almost 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years in August. And I moved from California, where I was working for my previous company. I've worked for 2 companies, hotel companies besides Aperium, Starboard Hotels and Resorts and Marcus Hotels and Resorts. And I'll just say I've worked decades, but I won't say how many. So then you can't figure out my age, but it doesn't matter anymore because we're all on the high life, right? Living our best life. So I joined Aperium as the task force general manager, which meant anytime there was a hotel that needed someone to go in and triage or be the interim general manager because the GM left or was being converted or moved on or whatever the reason, I would come in and be the task force general manager. So I did that for 4 of our Aperium hotels throughout the United States in my first year with Aperium. And then I assisted with opening 2 of our hotels that we recently opened. Well, now it's over a year ago, and that was the Cyrus Hotel in Topeka, Kansas, and the MC Autograph Collection Hotel in Montclair. So after doing those 6 projects, I was promoted to Director of Hotel Openings and Transitions, and I assisted with 6 hotels that we were going to open in 2021 and 2022, Jasper Hotel being one of them. So I was the individual that was there to, like an entrepreneur, that I had to set up the hotel. I set up all the guidelines. I had put the critical path together, put the hiring timeline in place, all the financials in place, and I was getting all of these hotels ready for success in 2021 and 2022. So as I was working through that, then I got another promotion to Vice President of Hotel Openings and Transitions, and that was in January of 2020. And in March of 2020, I was furloughed, as was everybody else at headquarters at our company downtown Chicago. So I, along with the whole headquarter team, maybe about 5 people, stayed on furloughed. I was furloughed for 4 months. And I held on, and I said, I want to come back to Aperium, and I'll tell you a little bit about Aperium for the reason why I stayed with this company, because I knew something was coming. And it was in July that they said, we can call you back, but we don't know where we're going to open all these hotels, but we still have 1 GM position open, and we haven't filled it yet. So if you want to be the opening general manager of the Jasper Hotel in Fargo, we'll bring you back. And you can start, once you go through all the interviews with ownership. Mike Almendinger and Loris Mulbert were the 2 that I had to get past, and here I am, so it worked. And I didn't even have to think about it. I'd never been to Fargo, never been to North Dakota. I had lived anywhere from Fort Lauderdale to Northern California, so I said, why not North Dakota? And worked from Chicago for 3 months and then moved here in November. I was employee number 1. As of today, we now have 92 employees. We're still recruiting. That's the key here. Don't stop recruiting. Keep recruiting because there's plenty of jobs, full and part-time jobs, and we want to keep recruiting the best of the best in all kinds of positions. So we too have many opportunities for culinary, for housekeeping, for stewarding, for leadership positions, front desk. It goes on, and it's just going to be the best thing that's happened to Fargo as far as a hotel in downtown Fargo. And a week from tomorrow, we open our doors. So we open on June 24th. We've pushed the date a couple times. Originally, construction gets in the way and things happen. So anyway, we open next week. We open Jasper Hotel and Rosewild, which is our restaurant. So we're excited about that. Thank you. I too have 1 employee here with me today, Tanner Tweeten, my Director of Lifestyle. Daniel Mose, our social ambassador, does all of our social. So thank you for supporting me today. And again, Mike's always been a great support for me as well. So just want to tell you a little bit about Aperium. So Aperium Properties, so why Aperium and why Aperium Hotel Group managing this particular property? Rapidly popping up across the U.S., but you won't find the name on the side of the building. Instead, each of our 9 hotels are curated specifically for the location. We birthed the identity through the process, so the name comes last. In many ways, we're the anti-brand. Rather than focusing on top-tier cities, the company enters secondary markets, like Fargo, with the goal of becoming iconic destinations. The Crossroads Hotel in Kansas City, Missouri, it was a landmark hotel, was a Pabst and Pendergrass building. The Detroit Foundation Hotel that occupies the site of a former fire department headquarters. These cities, like Fargo, have great heritage, character, and soul. There's a demand for something unique and special. After identifying a desirable market and property, the team researches the building, the neighborhood, and the city, scouring the web and interviewing area experts. From that, a story begins to emerge that inspires the overall experience. Our hotels are restaurants with rooms on top. In Aperium hotels, and you'll see this when you enter the Jasper Hotel and you visit it, Rosewild is the buzz. That's the excitement. We just so happen to have 125 guest rooms above there, and we also have 6,000 square foot. Abby, I forgot. Abby's here with me too, my sales manager. When I was thinking about sales and marketing, there's Abby. She's selling the hotel and selling sales, marketing, banquet space. So thank you for all you do as well, Abby. The first floor is dedicated to the local community, to eat, drink, socialize, and have spontaneous gatherings to see and be seen. Aperian properties feature one-of-a-kind pieces like local artists, designers, and makers who bring instant street cred and built in the following for the neighborhood and the people. We deliver hotels that are more layered and significant to their neighborhoods and their cities than our competitors. We're planting our flag and we're saying we're going to be here for a long time. And the other thing that we do in our cities is we partner with the local collaborators. And that's basically Tanner's job, is to ensure that we use the pottery from two different pottery companies, Living the Dream and Rising Dawn. And so they did all the pottery for our restaurant. So when you go in the restaurant and you see it, it's really cool that that's what we have. We have private bars in the guest room, and 75% of the items in there are local items, local food and beverage, like Drecker Brewing and Dots Pretzels and all the locals. And then we throw in an occasional bag of M&Ms and a couple of Cokes and Diet Cokes. But we really want to have the flavor of the local community and be able to partner with them as well. So thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to touring you around Jasper Hotel and Rosewild Restaurant, and we look forward to a long time in the community. Thank you.
After the presentation, we opened up to a live Q&A session with the audience. And today we were joined by our host, Emma McIntyre, who is also the lead coordinator of StartupBREW Fargo. Let's listen in.
Well, to kick us off, I love to start with a question personally. Obviously, this year has been an interesting one for the restaurant industry. Can you share with us something that the both of you are most proud of in 2020?
Most exciting thing that we did was hire an executive chef. Talk about restaurants and culinary. There was an article just came out about Chef Austin Covert, who came from our Detroit Foundation Hotel in Detroit, Michigan, and he was the executive sous. And for us to be able to bring on someone of his talent and expertise, and then to be able to cultivate a team of cooks, sous chefs in the Fargo market, and some even that moved here from other states, was really exciting for us, because this is a tough year and it's a tough time to recruit, and we see it on the news all the time. So I'm most grateful for that.
Heck yeah. Shelby?
I mean, I feel like we pivoted throughout the whole thing, changing to, we own Brewbird as well, so changing to go and figuring out and really doubling down on our commitment to have this a career in the culinary arts. We started offering health insurance this year and some other benefits with like free counseling and things like that. So we really said, if we're going to do this, let's do it and help grow this team in this time of uncertainty. And so I'm proud of us, and I feel like we're coming out stronger because of it.
I'm going to toss it back to our audience. Does anybody have a question they want to kick us off with? Jordan.
But it strikes me you must be a change management expert. So maybe if you could tell a story or an example or some tips on how to manage some cultural change in an organization.
Boy, that's an excellent question. And yes, I've gone through. I've either opened or transitioned 16 hotels. Only 4 as the general manager. Other ones in other leadership positions. Most of those really were with Starwood Hotels, and one time that really goes back, that resonates with me when it comes to culture and change, is when I was transitioning the Doral Hotel in Miami Beach, and it was going to be the Westin Hotel Miami Beach, and it was an iconic, beautiful hotel, 500-room property, and we had people that worked there that had worked there for probably 30 or 40 years and worked for the Doral, and I had now convinced them that they need to do it my way. They need to take on our Westin standards. This is how you will greet a guest. This is how you will escort a guest. This is the uniform you're going to wear. And it's no longer a non-branded. It's a branded property. And I think just in my time, I really love non-branded properties. There's a lot of structure in branded properties for the Marriotts, and Marriott's everything now. It's not even Marriott, Westin, Hyatt. They're all Marriott. But that's the most exciting part of my career, has been to be able to take the best of what you've learned and be the leader and the role model for your team. Thank you.
Shelby, I'm going to toss it back to you. This is not your first restaurant rodeo. Can you share maybe how 701 is different than the work you've done before?
Well, Alex and Britt started Brew Ales and Eats in Perham. Was it 8 years ago? 7 years ago? Maybe longer? A lot of years ago. So I'm really kind of flying on their coattails. But I think that 701 is, each of the different restaurants have their own personalities and their own love. But 701 is kind of a near and dear concept to my heart. And, my grandparents were, they lived in our same hometown. And so it's the concept like out of my soul. So I think that's what's different to me about this place. And I love that we're featuring grandma chefs, and we're having them come in and teaching us things, and they're so hilarious when they do that, teasing us about how bad we are at something. And so it's just that feeling, that kind of full feeling of full circle. And so I feel like that's what's different for this place.
I love it. If you would champion a grandma cooking show,
sure.
I would definitely watch.
Sure.
We'd love to launch a Startup Brew. That would be fantastic. Just live stream.
We should
maybe
actually do
strategically place a camera there. I would find that personally very enjoyable.
Yeah, all of the last one who taught us donuts, she made fun of me so bad. It was funny.
We did get a question in online from Randy Schatz, and it's for Mary. In a world of bland big name chains, how do you market an anti-brand bespoke destination property?
Excellent question. Because, with the big brands, all you have to go on, you can go on any of their websites, and you're going to go to a city and you're going to stay at a Marriott because you know the property, or a Westin, or a Four Points. And what's really interesting is to try and market when you're an independent, because you don't have the power of the big brand. And so what comes into play then is, depending on your fabulous sales team, so you can get group rooms on the books, also partnering with local transient corporate business, which we have someone that just focuses on that as well, because you want that business on the books, so everyone coming from Sanford Health that are traveling to Fargo stay at our hotel because we have a corporate transient rate with them. We also open up friends and family rate. We have community rate. We have neighborhood rates. So what we do, because we can't compete with the big brands when it comes to the power of the internet and how you can book from big brand properties, is to have all of those in place. And then the rest is just word of mouth and being in the community and ensuring that you're selling your property, all parts of it, your restaurant, your banquet space, your catering event, as well as your guest rooms.
Do we have any other? Yes.
So you talked about how the name comes last. How did you come up with the name Jasper?
That was years ago, and that wasn't even when I was involved in this. So that's a great question, because I had to read all the background, right? So when I accepted the position, the first thing I did is I got the whole deck of everything that's been going on from a design standpoint, and local collaborators and the companies that we've hired. So the name's morphed from, it's named after Jasper B. Chapin, one of the founding fathers of Fargo. And we talk about that in our press release. And when we found that we wanted to have that name, we meaning the individuals that went through that process, there's so many different variations. It was going to be the Jasper Hotel. It was going to be the Chapin Hotel. It was going to be many other names, and Mike probably knows the history because he's been dealing with this project for probably 3 years. So that's what happens when we go to these cities. We find something that's unique to the city. Like I mentioned, the Cyrus Hotel in Topeka, Kansas. Cyrus was, again, a founder of Topeka, Kansas. He brought the railroad through, and so they named it after him. So that's kind of, we want something that's indicative of the community. You're welcome.
Hannah.
Shelby, this is a question for you. So, Grandma makes so many amazing things. How did you narrow down what you actually want to put on your menu? Did it involve a lot of research, like market research, or was it just what you love?
Yeah, I think it's what we love, and then we'll be adding and adapting and changing it at all times based on like donuts. It's hard to do because we do everything gluten-free, so we're going to use those for our brunch. So we'll incorporate those things as we go. But much of it is just things that we grew up with and were favorites in our lives.
Oh yes. That's good.
I had the corn dog at 701 and it was fabulous.
Yay!
But Mary, question for you, not necessarily related to the hotel, but how have you liked North Dakota? How have you liked Fargo?
So I'll answer the first question. However, I like North Dakota. I only saw it when I drove from Chicago the first time. So I haven't really seen much of North Dakota, honestly. But I love downtown Fargo and new businesses, restaurants, bars, shops. I have definitely given back to the community, especially living downtown and being a downtowner. You know, whether it's the Dailies Market or it's Kindred People or it's Beyond Running or the Great Northern Bike. I just love going to all the little shops, and I'm constantly buying things. So I love everything about it, and I love I really enjoy the people of Fargo, the community and the outreach and the friendliness. You get that a little bit in Chicago, but not as much as you do in Fargo. So I've really enjoyed being here and now being part of the community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before we wrap, I have one last question for you, Shelby. And I heard Shelby speak originally during Women's Entrepreneurship Week last year. And I think I've been to Brewbird. You had spoken about Brewbird. And the thing that threw me off the most is I didn't realize that it was a gluten-free first kitchen. Can you share a bit more about that concept and maybe how you've incorporated it into your latest project?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much by accident. But Alex and I are both, my brother and I, Alex, who is the chef, are both allergic to gluten. So he was just testing it out, just seeing if he could figure it out. And then after he got one rendition done and we all tasted it, and we're like, this is just as good as regular. And so then he started to get really nerd out. And I would come home from the clinic and come in, and he'd have all these different combinations of flours and testing it, and how does this pull away from it, and how does this sit up in a box, and it was really funny. But he really kind of perfected that batter, and so then we're like, well, why don't we just do it all gluten-free? And it was, once you start to get the techniques, it's not that hard. And so then with 701, we're like, well, let's just try to do everything we can gluten-free too. It just opens up more opportunity, and it's estimated that about 30% will be gluten allergic or sensitive in the next 10 years. So it's a good opportunity to have an open kitchen for those people.
Well, we always wrap with one question, and it is, what is one thing that each of us can do to help energize the work that the both of you are doing? You want to hear that?
Please come to the Jasper Hotel and Rosewild Restaurant, and please have all of your events in our banquet space, Continental Ballroom, located on the 5th floor. We want you to be welcome. We do welcome you. We want Rosewild to be a place you come, not just for that special occasion, for Mother's Day or for someone's birthday or anniversary. We want it to be the neighborhood hangout, too, where you can come after work for to the bar for a batch cocktail or for a beer, glass of wine, lovely champagne. And we want you to be able to come there in shorts or a T-shirt, and you can come dressed up as well. Be yourself and enjoy. So we just really want to embrace the local community and ensure that everyone's coming to visit us and to have fun at Jasper. We're also going to have an outside patio. I want to mention that. And we are recruiting. So we're still recruiting, and that's how you can be even a bigger part of us, because we have wonderful benefits as well. So thank you very much for letting me be here today. I appreciate it.
Well, Abby, I already told Mary that I already told my daughter Ellie, who is going to be getting married at Jasper, because it is gorgeous, and book it now. She's 16. No. But and I'm excited to come visit too. It looks amazing. But I think just come adapt with us, come visit us, come enjoy the space, tell stories. Grow with us. We're going to be changing and perfecting. We're not going to be perfect. I know that. But come grow with us and tell us your stories, because we'll hook into your grandma and have us teach us something really good too.
Yes, awesome. Let's give a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have for this week's StartupBREW Fargo. Thanks for listening in. StartupBREW Fargo is energized by Emerging Prairie, an organization dedicated to connecting and celebrating the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We'd also like to thank the following sponsors for their support: Pro Resources, Brady Mertz, the FMCVB, Office Sign Company, Fargo Parks, and Midco. See you next time.